As we rolled up to the school drop-off lane, my daughter didn't even look at me when she said, "Mom, don't pick me up today. Not with your minivan." The words hit like a punch to the chest. Another day of my 13-year-old wishing she could hide our old Honda Odyssey. Another day of watching my smart, funny girl carry the shame that Vera Morrison and her crowd decided we weren't Maplewood Middle enough. I sat in the parking lot of the grocery store, staring at my phone while other moms loaded their BMWs and Audis with organic produce. The same moms who whispered when I walked by. The same moms who acted like our minivan was contagious. What they didn't know was that this beat-up soccer mom van was my lucky charm. The day I bought it, still crying from the divorce papers, was the same day I got the call that changed everything. But I'd kept that secret, locked away. Even from Emma. I thought staying invisible would protect her. I was wrong about everything. Quick favor before we move on. Over 90% of people watching right now haven't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying this story, tap that like button and hit subscribe. It's completely free, and it helps this channel reach more amazing listeners like you. Already subscribed? You're the best. Thank you so much. Now, let's get back to it. Vera Morrison ruled Maplewood Middle like she owned the place. 46 years old, long, wavy hair, married to investment banker Craig Morrison. She drove a white BMW X5 and made sure everyone knew exactly how much everything cost. Her daughter Tessa was a mirror image. Beautiful, cruel, and absolutely convinced the world revolved around her. The first time I met Vera was at the soccer parent meeting in September. I'd worn my 10-year-old jeans and a sweater from Costco, parking my dented van between her BMW and a Mercedes. "Oh, hello there," Vera said, tilting her head like she was confused to see me there. "Are you looking for the discount grocery store?" The other moms turned to stare. Jessica, making sure her designer bag was fully visible, gave a little laugh. "Oh, grocery outlet is just on the other side of town." "Well," Vera continued, adjusting her designer sunglasses, "I'm sure you'll love the neighborhood. It's very diverse in terms of income levels." Income levels. Like I was a charity case they'd graciously accepted. I could have ended this conversation right there. One Google search of my name, one mention of design flow, and Vera's condescending smile would have shattered. But something made me stay quiet. "Are you married?" asked Monica, leaning in with fake concern. "I'm divorced," I said simply. The silence was sharp as glass. Vera's smile turned predatory. "Oh, honey, that must be so hard financially, especially with a teenager. They're so expensive at this age." "We manage," I replied. "I'm sure you do your best," Vera says with her fake sweetness. "Single moms are so strong, though I have to say it's brave of you to move somewhere so, upscale. Upscale. Like I was playing dress-up in a life I couldn't afford. But soon she'd learn exactly what I could afford. The exclusion started immediately. Team dinner invitations that never came. Group chats about carpooling that somehow missed my number. Parent coffee dates where I wasn't included. But it was worse than being left out. It was targeted destruction. The first incident happened at lunch. Emma came home with her sandwich untouched, eyes red and puffy. "What happened, sweetheart?" "Tessa and her friends looked at my outfit," Emma whispered. "They said I dress like poor people. Then they picked up their lunch and sat somewhere else." My hands clenched around my coffee mug so hard I thought it might crack. "What did you do?" "I ate alone in the library. Again." Emma's voice broke. The librarian asked if I was okay, but what could I say? That my classmates think I'm gross because we don't drive a nice car? I could have fixed this with one phone call. One mention of design flow, and every parent in that school would be begging for playdates. But I'd wanted Emma to make real friends, not friends impressed by money. The second incident was worse. Emma came home with her hoodie on inside out. "Why are you wearing your hoodie like that, honey?" "She took it during PE," Emma said, her voice hollow, almost broken. She and her friends wrote, "I'm poor," in black marker across the back. Then she hung it on the school wall so everyone could see. When she noticed a dirt stain on the sleeve, she wrinkled her nose and said, "Ew, do you even wash your clothes?" I knelt beside her, feeling like I was watching my daughter fade in real time. She'd stopped asking for paint supplies, her favorite hobby. Dark circles smudged beneath her eyes, and every time kids laughed nearby, she flinched. "Did you tell one of the teachers?" "Yeah, but—" Emma stared at the floor. "She just said maybe I should try sitting with different kids, like it was my fault they didn't want me there." That night, I held her while she cried into my shoulder. She felt smaller somehow, like she was shrinking into herself. "Mom, can we move somewhere cheaper? I know you're trying your best, but maybe if we lived in a different district, kids wouldn't expect so much." As I held my sobbing daughter, something cold and sharp settled in my chest. I'd tried to protect her by hiding who we really were. Instead, I'd fed her to wolves. The third incident destroyed something inside me. Emma walked through our front door with her uniform torn and tears streaming down her face, but this time she was shaking. "Emma, what happened?" They cornered me after practice. Tessa, Madison, and Sophie, they said— She gulped air between words. "They said I probably steal things because how else would a single mom afford to live in this neighborhood? They said they were going to tell their parents to watch their purses around us." My vision went white with rage. These children, these spoiled, vicious children, were destroying my daughter's soul with lies while I sat on a fortune that could buy their parents' entire social circle. And then Tessa pushed me into the fence and said, "Stay with your own kind." Emma's voice was barely audible. "Mom, I wanted to fight back, but what if they're right? What if we really don't belong here?" I reached for her hand, but she didn't reach back. That night, Emma asked if we could move to an apartment community, somewhere cheaper where she wouldn't stand out. I held her as she cried herself to sleep, and I made a decision. Tomorrow, everything would change. Meanwhile, Vera's campaign against us became her personal entertainment. It started with the coffee runs after practice. Every Thursday, she held court at the Starbucks across from school, timing her arrival perfectly with mine. "Oh, Denise!" she'd call out loudly. "Still driving that reliable minivan, so practical for someone in your situation?" Her audience would giggle on cue. "You know, Craig and I are going to the dealership next week to pick out my new G-Wagon. Matte black, performance package, the works. I guess when you're saving up for one, you have to think about boring things like reliability." Each word was designed to cut, to remind everyone exactly where I ranked in her world. The cruelest part was how she recruited allies. Vera had a gift for making other mothers complicit by framing it as concern. "I'm worried about Emma," she told Jessica at pickup, loud enough for me to hear. "Poor thing looks so tired lately. It must be exhausting when your mother has to work so many hours just to keep up." Jessica nodded sympathetically, shooting me pitying looks. "Children need stability," Vera continued. "When parents are struggling financially, kids always feel it. Maybe Emma would benefit from spending time with families who can provide more consistency. Like charity work, but social." She was positioning herself as Emma's savior while using my daughter's pain as entertainment. And every day I watched her flash her credit cards and designer bags while talking about the G-Wagon she was getting next week, the car that would be the crown jewel of her perfect life. "The dealer called yesterday," she announced to her audience. "We're paying all cash. Craig spoils me. He said I deserve the best after everything I do for this family." I could have told her right then that I owned a company worth more than her house. Could have mentioned that the app on her phone was probably mine. But watching Vera build her house of cards was more satisfying than any comeback. What Vera didn't know was that behind the scenes, I was making moves. 3 days after Emma's breakdown, I drove my beat-up minivan to Prestige Motors, the luxury dealership where Vera was getting her dream car. I wore my worn jeans and a hoodie. The sales manager, David, looked at me like I was lost. Can I help you find something in your price range? We have some certified pre-owned vehicles in the back. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone, I'd like to speak to the owner about purchasing the dealership. David's face went blank. I'm sorry, what? The dealership, I want to buy it. Cash offer. 24 hours later, I owned Prestige Motors. While scanning through the loan applications, one name stopped me cold: Vera Morrison. Her file was a mess. High debt-to-income ratio. Multiple recent credit inquiries. Craig was buried in debt just to keep their image afloat. And the kicker? She'd bragged about paying for her G-Wagon in cash. But here she was, begging for a loan she couldn't afford. The application was already flagged. I made sure it stayed that way. The loan was denied, and Vera? She had no idea yet. The big reveal came at the championship soccer tournament. The one event where every parent, every kid, and every sideline gossip would be gathered in one place. The perfect stage. That morning, I made a decision. No more minivan, no more playing small. I called Prestige Motors and told them to deliver my loaner that morning. The matte black G-Wagon, the exact car Vera had been bragging about for weeks. When I turned into the parking lot behind the wheel, the low growl of the engine seemed to hush the crowd before I even stopped. Heads swiveled, sunglasses tilted down. Conversations cut off mid-sentence. The G-Wagon looked like something out of a commercial. Pristine, intimidating, its dealer plates catching the morning sunlight. I parked front and center, right where the field's entrance funneled every set of eyes toward me. I stepped out. The silence was instant and complete. Vera's smile collapsed as her gaze locked on the car, her face drained to paper white. Mom! Tessa Morrison's voice rang out across the grass. Isn't that supposed to be your new car? The question cut through the quiet like a blade. Every parent turned to look. Kids stopped kicking soccer balls. Coaches froze with whistles halfway to their lips. Vera's mouth opened and closed, once, twice, like a fish gasping for air. There must be some mistake, she managed, her voice climbing higher than usual. That's my car. I was supposed to pick it up this week. I took my time walking toward her, the key swinging lazily from my finger, each metallic jingle like a countdown. Actually, Vera, I said, my voice calm, almost kind, there was a problem with your application. Your loan was denied yesterday. The collective gasp rolled across the field like a wave. Parents exchanged stunned glances. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wildfire. Jessica's hand flew to her mouth. Monica muttered, I thought you said you paid in all cash. That's impossible, Vera whispered. Craig said everything was perfect. We put down a deposit. I tilted my head, feigning sympathy. Unfortunately, your debt-to-income ratio was too high. Too many credit cards, too many loans. The bank couldn't approve another payment. You could almost hear the gears turning in the other parents' heads, connecting every smug comment, every designer bag, every brag about upgrades, now exposed as a house of cards built on borrowed money. Don't worry, though, I added, my tone smooth as silk. I'm the new owner of Prestige Motors, so I can explain everything. This, I gestured to the G-Wagon, is just my loaner until my custom build arrives next week. The one with the performance package and hand-stitched leather interior. The words landed heavy and final. Vera's face crumpled. Her daughter stared at her, confused. And just like that, the championship game wasn't the only spectacle that day. Vera's legs looked unsteady. The woman who had spent months flaunting her wealth had just been exposed as broke in front of everyone. That's impossible, she stammered. You drive a minivan, you wear non-branded clothes. I drive a minivan because it's lucky, I said simply. The day I bought it was the day my design app got valued at $48 million. Just then, a mom from the 7th grade team came running over, her phone in her hand. "Oh my God, you're Denise Davis, from Design Flow. I just Googled you." Another parent gasped. "Wait, Design Flow is yours?" "My entire company runs on that app." "We've been trying to get a meeting with the founder for months," added Jessica, her voice breathless. "I use it every single day," Monica chimed in, staring at me in disbelief. The words hit the crowd like multiple explosions. Every parent within earshot turned to stare, phones coming out to Google my name. Emma, who had been warming up with her team, looked over with wide eyes. "Your app just got acquired for $48 million, the first mom continued, waving her phone. Vera stood frozen, watching her entire social structure crumble around her. The woman she'd treated like dirt was worth more than everyone at that tournament combined. "Mom," Tessa whispered urgently, tugging on Vera's sleeve. "We were really mean to Emma. Her mom is rich." Vera finally found her voice. "You could have told us who you were." I tilted my head thoughtfully. Could I have? Because when Emma mentioned I worked with apps, Tessa told her that poor people couldn't understand technology. The change was immediate and complete. Within minutes, Emma's bullies became her biggest admirers. The same kids who had mocked her clothes were now bragging about knowing the tech founder's daughter. But the real change was in Emma herself. She stood taller, smiled with confidence, and when Tessa tried to apologize, Emma simply said, "My mom builds things that actually matter." "What does your mom do besides max out credit cards?" Vera's face went completely white at hearing her financial humiliation thrown back at her by a 13-year-old. For a moment, she looked like she might collapse. The other parents swarmed me with business cards and investment opportunities. Vera slipped away quietly, her perfect image shattered beyond repair. As we drove home in the G-Wagon, Emma looked at me with wonder. "Mom, why didn't you tell them who you were from the beginning?" I thought about it, watching the prestigious neighborhood pass by through tinted windows, because I wanted you to see who people really are when they think you have nothing to offer them. And I wanted you to learn that your worth has nothing to do with their opinions. And now I know. Now you know that the most important thing you can build is your own character. Everything else is just money. She smiled and closed her eyes, finally at peace knowing her true value. Sometimes the best revenge isn't cruel or dramatic. Sometimes it's simply living so authentically that other people's fake lives become irrelevant. The masks we wear aren't always about hiding wealth. Sometimes they're about revealing character,